There's a lot of chat in our chat about Conor Bradley. Obviously, it was his, as Kiefer mentioned there, it was his kind of breakout performance, if you like, last season, the goal and just the all-round performance. It was probably his high point of the season. Struggled a little bit for game time. Someone said, do you think that would Slot consider giving him a role on the left-hand side? I doubt it, just because Slot seems to be quite invested in having positions, doesn't he? He has 2 left-backs and 2 right-backs, but he was talking about Bradley today in his press conference, Slot, and he said that he's a good player, and obviously he's up against Trent, it was hard, but he said, but I expect good players will come through in the end and make that position their own, and I expect Bradley will do that, which I thought was a slightly odd thing to say, because it either suggests that if Trent stays, he would consider moving him because Bradley would become so good, or Bradley would get better than Trent, or Trent will eventually go. But I just thought that was quite an interesting thing for the managers to say, and it's obviously high praise for Bradley. What have you made of him, and could he play left back?
I could probably do a job there. I don't think, like you say, unless in case of emergency, I don't think he would maybe play him there. I actually think Bradley, when he has played, when he's come on, he's struck up quite a good relationship with Mo. Yeah. I think Mo quite likes having that player who makes that overlapping run, and I think whereas Trent now tends to sort of invert a little bit and come inside, and I think actually sort of it's more like what Trent used to do, I think, when he first came into the team, very much what Andy Robertson has always done, and I think that suits the way that Mo likes to play.
He's a much more traditional fullback.
He is,
and in the way he plays.
Yeah, and I think it's such a difficult one because he's behind a player who, would probably walk into any team, including Real Madrid, unfortunately, for Liverpool at this moment in time. That was a bit of an odd comment, and I must admit, I did think sort of like, is that him sort of acknowledging that Trent might move on further down the line? I don't know. I've seen a few comments actually saying that if it becomes apparent that Trent isn't going to stay, we obviously don't know if that's the case, but if it does become apparent, do you then just start playing Bradley? Which is a bit of a difficult one because it's almost a little bit like cutting your own nose off to spite your face, but then... Or
is it to benefit your face long term?
Yeah, so
having no nose, mate.
I think if it did get to that point, it would probably depend where Liverpool were at. I think if Liverpool were still competing, in all the major competitions, Trent would stay in. If they'd fell off a little bit and it was about sort of getting top 4 and whatever, then I think maybe he'd give Bradley a run. But I think he's a top player. I think he's got a future at Liverpool, absolutely. Whether that is right back, whether that is rotating with Trent, who knows?
I mean, he played in the front 3, didn't he, in the cup final after about half an hour. When there was injuries and whatnot, Graham Birch went off and they had a bit of a reshuffle. I think if you were going to do it, obviously Trent played left back for England, didn't he, over the weekend. I think as best as you look at their styles of play, Trent is probably the one that would suit left back more because you'd still be able to get the ball over to the right. But with Bradley, a player who's, as you say, gets on the touchline, drives the ball down, gets across in the box is typically his game. Trying to do that on his weak side, I just don't think would work at all.
Sure, yeah, I think so. I like Bradley a lot. I think he's a very different type of player to Trent. I agree with you in the sense that I think Salah likes having someone go outside of him so he can come inside with the ball, and but I think it speaks volumes about the type of player Trent is that we're seeing another player coming. He's so unorthodox, Trent, isn't he? And Bradley is like a reminder of how special I think Liverpool have got a player in Trent that he can play in such a different way. You don't see many teams do it at all, do you?
I mean, even Beth just said there, Trent could play any team in the world. I mean, Bradley could probably play in most Premier League teams. I think be starting right back, wouldn't he? However old he is, 21, 22, whatever. Yeah. I mean, he did that interview with Ian Doyle earlier in the week, didn't he? And he said that when he went on loan to Bolton, he kind of thought he was done. Yeah. And the kind of way him and Quanta have all come back and established themselves, and now you'd probably say in terms of young talent around the Premier League, they're well up there, aren't they?